Well, hello, everyone. It is going to be absolutely awesome to have Sandra speak here today because I am so curious what she's going to be saying. I am already riveted ears here. Now, this is just part of the teaser part, is that she says your bio has been rewritten so many times that you're pulling your hair out. The language that will entice your audience, readers, and clients is not quite flowing through the tip of your pen. Human design can help you find the words. Sandra Lee is a medical intuitive for your business, helping you delve into the heart of who you are and how you serve. Become touched, moved, and inspired by yourself. As the only practitioner combining human design with biofield tuning, Sandra is uniquely qualified to help you awaken the heart of your business. You can book an assessment for free, and Sandra will be putting all of her contact information in the chat. And now I turn it over to Sandra, and there will be a Q&A after. Sandra, take it away.
So much fun. Thank you. So I look forward to sharing with you all. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here we are. So I am a human design specialist and biofield tuning practitioner. So you can see here that there's the triangle that is the human design chart. And then I use tuning forks and biofield tuning in the energy field. Today, I am going to talk about human design for writers and languaging, because of course, all of you are writers. Awaken the heart of your business. This is something I've really been getting into lately and really loving it, finding out what is it that touches, moves, and inspires you about yourself and about the people you're working with. How are you inspired by the people who are going to be your readers, for those of you as you write? So here is my human design chart, and I want to show you a little bit about what is possible in terms of looking at themes and language from the perspective of human design. So all of these things come out of these different energies in the chart. So these are where the planets were at the time you were born and where the planets were approximately 3 months before you were born. And these all color in black and red on the chart. So each of these things has a specific energy, a specific quality. So when I look at the themes that are going to work out well for me in writing, perhaps themes that I might write about, as well as specifics in terms of language. So if we look at this channel here, this 1333, this is energy about being a listener and about being a storyteller. Now there are actually 2 storyteller gates on the chart. This 33 is the storyteller gate that's about factual things that have actually happened. And so it really intrigues me as I'm listening to all of you, how wonderful and delightful and enriched your language is in terms of characterization and stories. I am really more factually based as a writer. And thinking about writing fictional characters like you do just kind of boggles my mind how to do that. And as I was preparing this slideshow for you, I was like, you know what? I really do best, at least right now, with factual information. And it's here in my chart. Okay? This is also creative energy here. This is energy for truth and integrity, and also energy for sales. So those might all be good topics for me to write about, as well as being able to use this language. So for example, for myself, I talk about truth and integrity and the absence of truth and integrity. I use those words because this is a big theme in my chart. And so using those words makes my words consistent with what my chart is showing out to the world. Other language, struggling and fighting, inspiration, starting things, conflict, joy of life, nurturing, control, and transformation. These are all specific energies in my chart, which means that when I am using words like these, themes like these, I am putting out into the world information that matches what my chart puts out into the world. This chart, everything that's colored in, imagine it's beaming out into the world who I am and what I offer and opportunities I'm looking for, ways that I can serve. This is like my purpose. This is the difference that I make in the world, being broadcast out into the world. And if my chart is beaming out one thing, and what I am doing and saying is back here, people out there can get a confusing message from me. If I take my words, my actions, my beliefs, and I make them so they match what my chart is beaming out into the world, the people out there are going to get a consistent message from me, and that's what attracts them to me. If you use language from your chart in your writing, that may make your writing more attractive to the people who you want to have receive it. Here's an example, a story. Okay, this was someone who came to me wanting to know what type of work it is that I want to do. Because a lot of times when people come to human design, they are wanting to make a change in their work. They're not satisfied with what they're doing, but they don't know how they are here to serve. So human design helps them see that. Here are some interesting things that came out of her chart. This is the energy for being creative. A lot of writers, actors, musicians, creative people have this energy. Now, anyone can have creative energy, no matter what it is you're doing. But in this case, it really applied to this woman wanting to be a writer. She didn't tell me she wanted to be a writer, but she did. 4323, the Freak to Genius channel, doing things that are different, having ideas and approaches that are out of the norm. And then having ideas, lots of ideas. And this has the storytelling gate that's about fiction. The one that I have, this 33, is storytelling, teaching, instructing from a factual perspective, historical perspective. She had this energy of storytelling, making things up, telling stories, fiction. And then this one up here is about knowing and having awareness and being able to sort through the information. I saw all these things and I told her, you know what? I think you'd be good at being a writer. And specifically science fiction. Now, I don't ever make specific recommendations for people about the type of work they do. They might come with something that they're considering, but I don't ever, from the chart, say, this would be a good thing for you to do. I actually told this woman that. You would be good at writing science fiction. Now, when I'm doing human design readings or biofield tuning with people, all of the time, I get information, my guidance system gets information that they haven't told me. She hadn't told me she wanted to be a writer. And she definitely hadn't told me she was actually considering writing a science fiction book. So I pulled that out of her chart and said, you should write science fiction. So when these things happen, where guidance gives me information about people they didn't tell me, that's part of, for me, what confirms that this actually is something that's relevant. And I believe that your soul tells me what you need to know, but you're too close to be able to see. And so it gives it to me so that I can tell you. And so that's a fun story. Know the benefits you provide and how to talk about them. Human design helps you be able to do that. What touches, moves, and inspires you about the way you serve, about who you are? And what touches, moves, and inspires you about your client, your customer, your reader? Knowing who it is you are speaking to, who you are writing for most enables you to write for them, to them. Awaken the heart of your business. So, if you want to explore the possibilities of what's possible for you with human design and biofield tuning, then I encourage you to go to my website. Charts are free. I run these human design charts for anybody and everybody who wants one, no cost. And I send you a chart guide that I make up specially for you. I do this personally. This is not automated, okay? This is me, okay? So you can pull your chart, and if you're interested in having one of these one-on-one conversations with me, then book an assessment. I have a newsletter that I am changing up how I do it to be maybe more inspired in my writing, and having videos be more part of it. That's my website. And thank you all for being here, having me here, and allowing me to share my story.
So how does I'm going to jump in with the first question here. Yay, thank you. How does the tuning fork, the biofield tuning, play a part in what you do? Because I was really interested in that as well.
So I've been doing human design now for 10 years, and I've only been doing biofield tuning for 2 years. And I was doing biofield tuning one day. This is all remote, by the way. I mostly don't work on people in person. So I create a hologram that represents who you are. And this is the biofield tuning anatomy map. Okay, so this is the aura with chakra centers and all that. And so this is what I'm working with, something like that. And one day I was doing biofield tuning for a client, Zoom, and I started seeing the human design chart overlaid on the biofield. And I realized that there are so many different therapeutic methods, and they're all working with the same thing. They're all working with who we are as humans, the issues we all tend to have commonly as humans, and they line up by chakra centers. And the biofield tuning works with chakra centers. The human design chart, it's all broken down into chakra centers. And so I started working with them together. Mm-hmm. And when I have done someone's human design reading, looked at their chart, and then I go and I do biofield tuning for them. You know, they've told me what they're struggling with, what their issues are, what their questions are, what they want to know. And so I'm doing biofield tuning in the biofield, and issues come up. And I was like, I wonder how that looks in the human design chart. So I look at their chart. The issue they're struggling with shows up in their chart in a certain way, and we work with it in their energy field at the same time. It's amazing.
Okay, well, I wrote down a couple other things, but over to everyone else. Questions, anyone? Just pop in on mute. If there's a bunch of you, then we'll raise hands, but
Ambika mentioned in the chat about Ra'uruhu. He was the man who basically channeled this system and figured out what it was, how to teach it, and spread it out to the world. So, and he was something else. He was like way out there. I listen to Ra'uruhu and I have no idea what it is he's saying.
To try standing in front of him and having a conversation. He used to talk to some of us who were astrologers when he was developing it. And also because I had trained in acupuncture. So he brought in a lot of systems into it. And so that also is how Sandra, because of the sound, is able to affect you, because it all interchanges and it's just different interpretations of frequencies.
Yes.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Do you ever have a client that actually has a really negative thought experience from a sound?
A negative experience from sound. I haven't had that happen. There might be people who are sensitive to sound, but no, I haven't had that experience.
Well, I've actually, what happened to me was I was with someone that was doing the crystal bowls, and I ended up with a massive, massive migraine as soon as she touched one set of bowls, and I could never be in the room when she was doing them. It's just, I don't know what it was doing, but whatever it did, it caused the migraine. So I was wondering because I know some tuning forks can do that as well. There's certain tones I just are not, don't resonate really well with me in my space. So I was
Yeah,
wondering if you'd ever had that.
I haven't, but if I were working with you, I would probably use forks that don't make so much sound, right? So these are designed to make a lot of sound. Then we have ones with weights on them that make very little sound.
And yet
So
that one has an earth tone to me, and the other one was out there in left
yeah,
field.
yeah. So that's really interesting, right? So what I would do with that is I would try to identify using the weighted forks that don't make as much sound for your case, um, and try to identify where in your head in particular the energy might be stuck.
Hmm.
So, Rusty mentioned that I'm a medical intuitive. I just started calling myself that because I don't
Hmm.
diagnose things. Um, what I can see is what happens energetically in your body and in your energy field in response to sound, to a problem, to a situation, what's going on. I see what's going on energetically.
Hmm.
So I would be interested. It's like, what is it that is, not moving properly in your head that might contribute to you having this struggle?
Mhm.
To tell you a story, a physical story. One of my clients had had migraines since she was a baby. And this is a woman who was in her 40s.
Mm.
So, debilitating migraines. She had dealt with all of the food things and it had helped, but basically, she was afraid to leave her house because she didn't know if she would develop a migraine while she was gone. And her children had to be, be quiet, mommy has a headache kind of a situation. And she decided to do biofilm tuning with me. And we did 3 sessions. And in the first session, after about 10 minutes of tuning her, I said, how's your headache? Because at the time she had a headache. And she said, I can already feel it starting to go away. By the end of the session, the headache was gone. We did 3 biofilm tuning sessions. And a couple of months after, I said, how are your headaches? And she said, much better. They still come, but I can stop them. I had helped her learn how she could, with her own intention and her energy, shift herself out of the headaches.
See, I have a set of glasses that have got a yellow lens to them, and when I'm starting to get a headache, I put them on, and it's just like my whole world drops. Even my energy drops within my body to the point where it's just non-existent. Within 2, 3 minutes, the migraine's gone.
Mhm.
So there's something that's not quite right, but nobody's been able to figure it out. So I just thought it was kind of just everybody had something.
It might be interesting to explore, what could be contributing to that. Not diagnostic, not medical treatment,
No.
but who knows? I mean, when people have these situations that they don't seem to be able to get control over, to try something that might possibly make a difference, it's worth doing.
Mhm.
Yes, and Esther had a question.
Sandra, thank you for that. It's really fascinating. I have 2 quick questions. One is, what were you doing before and what drew you to this work? And the second one is, could you please post your contact information in the chat when we're finished? Because I
Yes,
didn't quite capture that screen share thing.
yes.
Thank you.
So, I have been a massage therapist for 30 years.
Ah,
And I started off my education as a chemistry major. I have a bachelor's in chemistry from the California Institute of Technology. So I am able to take like logic and science and bring it together with energy work and woo woo stuff. And I had to come to terms with that early in my life, in my 20s. I learned to figure out how to justify those things because I had a scientific education and yet energy work does something. And so learning to be able to bring those together. As a massage therapist, one of the things that I find I am really good at is helping people understand the science of what's going on in their body and how, nutrition and water and physiology affects health. And so I've always used language in that respect, creating imagery. I use a lot of imagery when I'm helping people understand what's going on in their bodies. I just made that connection. And so that is one of the ways that I find I am able to make a difference with people beyond what other practitioners seem to be able to do. And then now that I'm doing biofield tuning, this has really increased the amount of intuitive information I get. I see it all in my mind. And I think maybe I answered your question and maybe I didn't.
No, yeah, you did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to know more. So in another context. Thank you.
Yes.
That's really good. And do you still do massage too, or no?
So with COVID, right? Normally I would have traveled and been in Washington State about a third of the time. I live in British Columbia, and 8 or 9 times a year I'd go down to Olympia, Washington, and work with my massage clients. I couldn't do that during COVID. And so I was doing a little bit of massage here at home, but not very much, really. Most of my work was down in Washington. So shutdown happened, and that's when my biofield tuning practitioner certification completed. Like the timing was perfect. So I just switched from doing body work almost exclusively to doing biofield tuning almost exclusively. And so in this, like just December, I made 2 trips to Olympia in 2021, and I just stopped doing massage in December.
Thank you so much for your words.
You're welcome. I find I'm actually able to have more impact sometimes on people Zoom distance doing biofield tuning than I can hands-on, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Really.
It is. Now, I'm going to go back to one of my questions too, because I don't see anybody else rapidly raising their hands here. When you said knowing your audience, I often talk about that too, of how if you know who your audience is, like Esther knows her audience are, the avatars of the women around our ages or 40 and up who are starting to question and starting to maybe have some time to look at becoming their own health advocate type thing. And, Shandia is looking for, fiction readers and fantasy readers and stuff. So how does this play into knowing your audience, your work?
Well, like when I was talking about the human design chart and looking at my own themes. So it's like for me, getting into fiction might be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because I do struggle so much with, creating the imagery and all of that stuff. Could be that Shandi and those of you who are, doing really wonderful stuff with fictional information, it could be that there's information in your chart that really talks about that. Okay. I didn't talk about, at the top of the chart, you have, there's a logic channel, and then there's a channel that has, just knowing things. So it's like there's all of these different energies in the chart that have all sorts of different properties, qualities, themes to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that can help you understand the sorts of things that, in terms of your chart, you're designed to do. Now, the truth is, everyone has the whole chart.
Mm-hmm.
You can do all of it. The things that are defined, colored in on the chart, are more likely to be stronger themes.
Right. And I can see that when they say that 93% of communication is body language, that in being in tune and in alignment with your human design chart, then means that you are presenting this congruent, consistent messaging to your people. And they will not even know why they're trusting you, because you're in alignment with your design and your purpose. Love that part. Now, Virginia, I think you have a question, don't you?
I do. You were reading my mind. Sandra, when you were talking about the author that you recommended do science fiction, and that turned out that's what she was thinking. So did you do the bio fork tuning with her too?
That was before I started doing biofield tuning. So no, that was many years ago. That's probably been 7, 8 years ago.
Okay, so now if you were to see her now, would you find that that would help her zero in on her mission or purpose to
I
do the
would probably
biofork tuning?
do a combination. So it's like a lot of the people I work with are people who want to start a business, they're not sure what. And there's so many options and they're confused and so they're paralyzed. They're not really doing any of it, right? They just keep going to the job and wish that they had their own business. And so this helped them see, if I'm considering doing this or this or this is how it shows up. The chart shows up in those arenas. And then we do the energy work to help them be able to be more in the flow with what they want. So yes, I would do a combination with her now.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna come see you.
Lovely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you have some tuning forks, don't you, Virginia? Esther, you're next. You have some tuning forks, don't you, on helping your facial muscles, right?
I wanted to get some, but I didn't know what to get, so I never did.
I bet you Sandra can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what keys were you told to get them in?
528.
Okay, so Sandra probably can.
This is 528. I don't want to make it too loud for Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Esther, I saw you on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Virginia, I could see you doing this. I could actually see you doing this modality too.
Oh, nifty, nifty. All right. I think
Thank
that
you.
was my last question. Yeah, I love that she didn't tell you, but when you said she didn't tell me she wanted to be a writer, but she did, but it was her chart that did. That was really cool. Anyone else? Any other questions? Going once.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize.
So your focus is on people who want to start businesses, but I'm assuming you'll do whatever people present with.
Yeah. So last year I did what all the marketing people tell you to do. Stop trying to serve everybody and focus on one specific set of people. So
Right.
that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Knowing that other people who aren't in that niche will want to come. So yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I have another question now. Is that I used to write predominantly poetry. And now I'm still meeting my poetry group and I pull out an old poem that I might want to work on or whatever, but I'm not writing a whole lot of poetry these days. I'm writing a whole lot more prose. So does our human design kind of change over time or circumstances, or if you were to work with writers and you were seeing this in her chart, the science fiction writer, would you be able to help somebody that, like, I love dabbling in all kind of writing. I do critical essays, do not my backyard essays, do, a lot of memoir prose and a lot of nonfiction, a lot of opinions, but poetry is still near and dear. So what might a person that's in all these different genres, what might their chart look like?
It would be hard to say, specifically without looking at the chart. And the birth chart is always the same. But like Ambika knows, you have cycles. So there's, Saturn return. Around age 30, you're going to have a bunch of new themes that come in. And then around age 40, you're going to have a bunch of themes with Uranus opposition that come in that could last for 40 years. Chiron gives you themes that last for 50 years. So it's like those all modify the way that you experience the birth chart. The birth chart always stays the same. And you have the whole chart. As you evolve and change, you're also going to see the things differently. Your experience of them may shift and alter and change.
So if you were to do a human design chart with somebody that was 30, like your birth chart stays the same, but would you see subtle differences if you did it with them at 50?
It's more that the issues that they are dealing with, addressing, the questions they have are going to be different. And with that many more decades of experience of their chart, they're going to have evolved. So by the time I work with anyone in any of our age groups, right, people are already pretty much living according to their chart. because through trial and error, they have figured out this is what works and this is what doesn't work.
But you can speed up the trial and error and
Absolutely. And
eliminate a lot of that.
make adjustments so they can refine it.
Okay. All right. So count of 5 again, and no apologies if a question comes up that I just do this. So like, any last questions? Going once.
Okay, I have a question.
Good.
I was just wondering, you put on the astrology, like the astrology aspect of human design. So I was just wondering, does that relate to that we do have the free will to change irrespective of what our birth chart may depict?
Every aspect of the chart has thousands of different ways of experiencing it. Some of them are positive, some of them are not positive. And sometimes I'm going to experience positive aspect of something, challenging aspect of something. Some things I'm definitely, yes, I definitely do that. Some I definitely not, I don't do that. And sometimes I have conflicting. I have both sides of the fence. So as I learn and grow, I can choose with awareness different facets of the diamond to experience in any moment. And so as I grow and change, I'm going to be making those choices at a totally different level.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Sandoval.
Okay, yes, I had one question. So you said 33 was the storytelling number or channel?
33 is one of the storytelling gates. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I see it near my throat or heart
Yes.
area. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, so you've had your human design done, Sandoval? Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of times, and I have one friend who like loves like getting into it, but I haven't had like a proper reading. But yeah, I've heard. Yeah, yes, I appreciate the system a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think it would have been really fun to have had mine done and then be able to use that as an example today. Darn it, we didn't do that. I will come to see you too.
Lovely.
All right. So I think, let's see, going what? Jazz hands for Sandra. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. It was lovely.